Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Shine.com, India's leading job portal, we welcome you all to the 18th Shine HR Conclave, the Bengaluru chapter. After a series of 17 successful conclaves across Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, we are proud to present our 18th edition and to be back in Bangalore. And as we unveil the theme for the evening's discussion, which is enabling HR through technology. The rapid speed with which technology is changing has been a hallmark of the 21st century, and it is technology which will take business to the next level. The effective use of technology is also transforming HR's role within the organization and its ability to deliver strategic impact. Whether it is using new talent acquisition channels like social media or automating HR operations, technology is constantly updating and impacting HR processes. The speed at which technology is evolving also means that there is a real risk of being left behind. The need of the hour is to identify processes which can be efficiently managed with the use of technology and enable HR to make an impact in the boardroom. Today, we aim to look at how HR can leverage the use of technology and become more effective in the times to come. The theme for the conclave is therefore enabling HR through technology. To kick off today's discussion, let me introduce today's panel. Arif Aziz, HR Head, GE India Technology Center, Private Limited. Arif joined GE in May 2000 as HR Manager for GE Industrial Systems in Hyderabad. He was selected for GE's Human Resources Leadership Program in 2002. During the program, he held assignments in acquisition, integration, global business partnering, and manufacturing consolidation in India and USA. On completion of the program, Arif took the role of HR Manager for GE Global Research and Black Belt for the HR team at John F. Welch Technology Center. In 2007, he was promoted to Head of Human Resources for GE Consumer and Industrial India. Arif completed his postgraduate in Human Resources and Marketing from the Symbiosis Center for Management and HRD and is a graduate in Electrical Engineering from the University of Rajasthan. Arif is also a certified Black Belt in Six Sigma. Arif? I now invite Murthy K. Upaluri, CEO Randstad India and Sri Lanka. Murthy is a successful business leader of global standing and heads India's leading HR services organization, Randstad India. He has a commendable track record of building profitable businesses and organizational capability with over 23 years of domestic and international experience with Fortune 50 organizations like Microsoft and GE. He has experience in diverse sectors like engineering, technology, and manufacturing. He is credited with evolving business strategy, growing market share, improving processes and operational excellence, driving innovation, and fostering a customer-centric culture in the organizations he has worked for. Murthy has a master's degree in industrial management from North Illinois University and an MBA from Spring Hill College, Alabama. He has a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Osmania University, Hyderabad. Murthy is a certified Six Sigma Master Black Belt and is presently pursuing his doctoral studies from the Hyderabad Central University. Thank you. I now invite Ravi Shankar B., Chief People Officer, Mindtree. With over 33 years of varied experience across multiple fields in HR, ranging from founding a company, Lister Technologies, to heading HR at Crompton Greaves Limited and Deutsche Software Limited. Ravi was heading the core software division, global recruitment, diversity and sustainability and HR innovation lab at HTL Technologies before this. An alumnus of XLRI Jamshedpur and Harvard Business School, Ravi is also a great listener, a keen reader, an avid traveler, and a connoisseur of food. Ravi is an executive coach at ISB Hyderabad for the Senior Management Leadership Program for more than 4 years now. May I now invite Sakar Anand, Vice President HR, CA Technologies. Sakar heads human resources for CA Technologies India. He has 18 years of experience in information technology, handling software development and delivery from global location, working on domains like retail banking, credit cards, inventory management, and portfolio management, and after-sales service. He is a certified Six Sigma Black Belt and a certified faculty for leadership and professional skill courses in change management. Sakar holds a BTech in Mechanical Engineering from National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra, a Master's in Advanced Software Engineering under the Continuing Education Program from University of Louisville, USA. He also holds a postgraduate certificate in Business Management from XLRI Jamshedpur. I now invite Suraj Chetri, Regional Director HR, Airbus Group India. Suraj has an overall experience of 21 years in aerospace, automotive, engineering, sales, and marketing and manufacturing sectors. Suraj joined Airbus Group in 2012 as their group head of HR for India. In his capacity as the Director HR, he is responsible for all Airbus Group operations in India. Suraj has extensive experience from companies from various sectors like Bata India, Bosch, General Motors, and Textron India. Suraj completed his bachelor's in sociology from Ranchi University and postgraduate diploma in personnel management from Xavier's Institute of Social Sciences in Ranchi. He is a life member of NHRD, ISTD, BMA, and NIPM. May I now invite our moderator for the evening, Shrikant K. Arimanthaya, VP HR CSC. Shrikant joined CSC India in 2013 as VP Human Resources and currently leads the Global Workforce Planning, Resource Management, Recruiting, Diversity and Inclusion, and India HRBP. Shrikant has more than 20 years of significant experience in global human resource management, organization transform, industrial relations, organizational development, HR outsourcing, analytics, and change management. He joined CSC from Britannia Industries, where he last served as Chief of Human Resources and was part of the core team who transformed the business model, organization performance, and culture. He was also in charge of information technology in this position. During his various HR leadership positions in CA Technologies, GE, and Toyota, he has led many transformation initiatives. I now request Shrikant to take over the discussion. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us, and congratulations to Shine for hosting such a wonderful gathering. And my job is moderating the panel discussion, and we have such a wonderful panel members, and I'm very delighted to share the panel with 3 of my ex-colleagues from GE, and 2 of them I closely worked, that is our friend Sakar, not only in GE as well as in CA Technology, and Arif in GE. And both of them are black belts, so I should be very careful when I present the data. So the topic of technology enablement in HR is a widely discussed and debated topic. I had a chance to discuss this topic and present way back in 13 years back in Mindtree campus. So most of the panel members are from IT companies like Infosys, Wipro. So the conclusion of the panel members was, yes, let us go for technology, but let us not lose the high touch, which is HR is known for. So that was the conclusion of the panel members. So in various panel afterwards, I attended at least 8 to 9 panels and discussion forums in various NIPM, HRD, and various other forums, and the topic was high touch versus high touch. And I also had an opportunity in last 15 years in implementation of various HR modules like PeopleSoft, SAP, and currently I'm implementing Workday. That's one of the latest module in HR technology in CSC, and also we consult the Oracle, SAP, and Workday for our clients in various locations. So we'll share our experience of how technology can enable HR or human capital practices, and what are the benefits for various customers, the end users, the managers, employees, and the end customers, how HR can benefit. So when the panel members had a discussion today and a couple of days back, we took a decision not to use any technology to present our views today. So there will not be any PowerPoint presentation. Only we try to use some notes in some of the technology. I saw some of the panel members carrying iPad. So I decided to use some of the notes in some of the technology forms. So each panel members will give their views from experience, not theory, from experience which you have seen 20, 30 years of experience managing business and HR, how technology can be leveraged to drive human capital and business value. And we'll take 8 to 10 minutes of a presentation. That's not a PowerPoint, but we'll share our experience. Then after all of us present, I will direct pointed questions to each panel members to really warm up the discussion. Then we'll open up for you to ask your challenges, your questions, and also share a couple of your views. We'll see a lot of experience in the audience. So that's the format. So I'll kick off with my views and my experience in managing technology in 22 years in various organizations, and what's the value the technology can provide to HR community and to the business. The first one is technology cannot exist in isolation. Whenever we try to leverage technology for human capital intervention, it has to coexist with the people and process. So people, process, and technology has to be leveraged to drive value to business and human capital intervention. So that was the biggest challenge from my experience. So a lot of companies try to leverage technology with ignorance of how the process and people can leverage in package to technology. So the challenge of business is how do you drive cost, how do you drive speed, and how do you drive quality for business. The technology alone cannot do it. It has to be optimized and leveraged in conjunction with the process and people. So wherever we implemented technology, we used for process value engineering things like Six Sigma, lean principles, and everything. And for the people, we used many of the competency enhancement methodology along with the technology implementation. So when it comes to the people and technology, sometimes technology bring best practice in process. Sometimes the process, existing process, the so-called best practice in process, we customize technology. So that is one of the dilemma many of the organization faces. For example, when we implemented performance management system or recruitment management system, whatever it may be, we believe that's a best class process we have in performance management or recruitment. So we enable that with the best technology fit. That's one approach. So we can customize certain technology to enable your best processes, which you believe. Sometimes you go for ERP system, which brings the best practice in process along with the technology. So that's a decision sometimes you have to take it. Will you buy technology and process, or will you customize technology to fit your best process? That's a decision you need to take it. So when we implemented many of the ERP solution, we try to customize the ERP solution to fit your best practices and best processes. So that we always discourage, because when you customize too much, subsequent versions, you find it difficult to implement it because you are too much customized to your needs and you didn't do out of box, and subsequent versions you find it to implement it in organization. So our challenge in many organizations is how do you interplay process, technology, and people. When I say people, not only upgrading the people competency to inherit the technology or deploy the technology or adoption, but also the important component is change management. Whenever you implement new technology in organization, we can easily deploy any technology, but people resist in terms of adoption of new technology into enterprises. So that is the biggest learning. So in summary, the people, process, and technology interplay to drive cost, quality, as well as the speed is a sense of transformation in implementation of technology in any organization. And that was the challenge many organizations faced. In my 15 years of technology implementation in HR, that is one of the biggest challenge we faced it. How do you balance customization? How do you balance the change management effort in implementation of technology? The second point is the technology implementation. If you really want to get the ROI on technology implementation, you have to really go beyond technology implementation in terms of things like shared services. When I was working for CA Technology, I was the global head of technology implementation of SAP. So my CFO asked me, hey, how can you justify implementation of SAP globally for 45 countries? So I tried to work out the ROI of implementation. I never could get a ROI of technology implementation. Then I go back to CFO and the CEO and explain to them the only way the technology get ROI if you put shared services. Today, the HR process are disparately implemented in many countries, and each country have their own recruitment processes done by local team, their own employee lifecycle management done by local team. The only way to get the ROI on technology implementation is putting shared services in regional or a global shared services. Then we started implementing shared services. Finally, we outsourced to a company called Arinso Northgate, and finally it acquired by KKR as a venture capital firm. So the real value of technology, you get it if you go beyond things like shared services of HR, then you get ROI on technology implementation. So a lot of companies do a mistake. They implement technology and expect the ROI coming out of that. It will not work. The third biggest learning we had is the concept of early, when we were in GE, Jack Welch come up with a 3 to 4 global initiative, things like service orientation. Earlier it was a product company, service orientation, then Six Sigma. One of such initiative was digitization. Today, most of the HR technology moved beyond digitization to a concept called digitalization. Digitalization means today the workflow, what we create in HR world, need to go beyond the traditional workflow. It should have the ability to carry the digital documents and data to get logical conclusion of work process. When I say digital, for example, you have resumes of employees, that's in digital form. You have certificates of employees in digital forms. You have merit increase of employees, which is scanned copies and everything. So the workflow should have the ability to carry the digital documents, including photographs of employees, end to end. Then the things like how do you store this virtual file rooms and everything. So the concept of digitization, which GE populated very well in a decade back, has moved from traditional digitization to digitalization. That means how do you handle digital documents of human capital into a logical workflow, and the ability of end users to retrieve this digital documentation at any point of employee life cycle in a virtual format is very, very important. So we struggle. Wherever we implement it, you have a great workflow, but if you want to retrieve any of the digital document, you find it, we have traditional file rooms where you have to go behind paper files and everything. So digitalization is very important, and organization, not only HR workflow, but the corporate other process also getting into form of digitalization, and it is very important to get into that kind of workflow. That's the biggest learning I had in last 10 years, moving from digitization to digitalization. The next one is the virtualization to visualization. When I started working in Toyota, the biggest learning I had is my head of HR, he's a Japanese expat. He took me to the shop floor, and he showed me how the press shop is working, welding shop is working, how the painting shop is working, how the assembly shop is working, and how the vehicle is getting out of the final product station. He said, this kind of visual management can you get in HR? But in HR, most of the processes are black boxes. We are not aware. For example, if you look at performance management, or if you look at recruitment management, or you look at talent management, all the HR processes are black boxes. Neither the employees nor the managers cannot see each stages of life cycle, whether it's the data or the processes. So one of the biggest challenge, how do you visualize the black boxes of HR process to the end users and the customers is very, very important, so that people see, people believe, and you get greatest transparency of HR processes. So we call ESS and MSS in traditional way, but it's not still visible. You can put buttons of approval stages and everything, but we need to go beyond and make it, the HR processes, visible. And virtualization means, okay, you can start using some of the shared drives and everything for knowledge management, but how can you go beyond virtualization to visualization of HR processes using technology? There are a lot of best practices available, which interest of time, I'm not getting into details. The next biggest challenge we faced is self-services to self-actualization. It's a little complex. We built self-services in MSS, managed self-services and employee self-services in HR processes, any of the HR process, recruitment or performance management or compensation management. But there is a greater need for employees and managers to create their own content and their own discussion boards so that they feel that they are heard, their knowledge is shared in the processes. It's very, very important. One of the greatest success of Facebook is it's only a platform. The content is created by the end users. That's the reason it's so successful. No content is put by the Facebook, isn't it? It's only a platform. So many of the workflows when we create in HR, there are many best practices available where the ESS and MSS, that is employee self-service and manager self-services, the end users not only managing the workflow through self-services, but also they can put their views, their beliefs, and their content in the workflow, and that's in form of big data. We can crunch it and see how much employees are satisfied or managers are satisfied on the workflow is one of the expectation going forward. And again, there are a lot of best practices available in this. Then the next one is business warehouse to business intelligence to business transformation. When I started working in SAP, I remember crunching data in business warehouse. Business warehouse is where the data is stored. There are various cubes available. You can crunch the data into an Excel sheet. Then we started developing HR analytics out of that. That is business intelligence. Then next challenge is what do you do with this data? There are a lot of tons of data available in employee life cycle, and we can crunch into attrition numbers, headcount numbers, cost of labor, and various other data. But biggest benefit HR technology can provide you is using this data into transformation. I call it as what, so what, and now what. You can get any number of data into HR analytics in business warehouse, whether it's whatever the business warehouse methodology uses in technology. But what are you measuring? So what? What's the impact to the revenue and bottom line, that is operating income, and net promoter score in terms of customer satisfaction. Now what? What are you going to do about it? So the data is data at the end of the day, but if you don't impact the business result and fix it, the broken processes, you are not going to get it. So our ability to move from business warehouse to business intelligence to business transformation using technology is very, very important. That's where a lot of companies struggle. They only have business warehouse, and tons of data is sitting there, but they don't know how to crunch it into analytics and transform the business. Next one is, as I mentioned, our ability to high touch and high tech. That's a topic always there is a belief in HR community and business community, technology takes away high touch. That is not true. Today's world, without technology, we cannot have high touch. CHC, we have 90,000 employees in 75 countries. Within India, we have 26,000 employees in 7 locations working 24/7. The only way to connect with employees, whether it's HR to employees or manager to employees or employees to employees, is through a form of social media. The only high touch we can create it only with the help of technology. We cannot do it without technology. So how do you create an internal social media and external social media to create a high touch? Like somebody was telling in one of the meetings, even I call my son for coming for dinner through his messenger. If I call him, he will not come. If I send a message through messenger or WhatsApp, hey, come for lunch or dinner, he will come. If I shout him, he will not come. So people are connected, well connected through messengers and Facebook and internal social media. That's how you touch base with people. So we need to understand that high tech for employee lifecycle management and social media for high touch is very, very important when you design HR technology. The last one, not the least one, is how do you create employer brand using technology? We discussed many times how do you build social media awareness for employer branding is very, very important. And there are a lot of best practices available, whether use of Twitter or whether it's use of Facebook or LinkedIn or internal methodology for driving employer brand using technology. So these are some of the challenges I'm very sure our fellow panelists will address through some of their best practices, their insight in many years of experience in the companies they worked. And we are happy to take further questions. Thank you very much. So let's go with the order in this pamphlet. Let's go with Arif. So Arif,
Sure.
welcome to share your views. Yeah.
I can sit here, Shrikant.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable. Yeah.
So one of the challenges when you follow Srikanth, and I know him for many years, is that if you are following him, you will have nothing else to talk because he would have covered the entire thing. So with that challenge, highlighting that and sharing with you, I just want to share two stories. And these are my personal experiences of what I went through and pretty much really a realization of how technology can transform the way we operate. So I remember when I joined GE many, many years back, May 2000 is when I started, so it's almost 14 years now. I was absolutely excited, GE, the most admired company in the world, a company which is known for its leadership practices. Jack Welch has been talked about in all media, all forums, somebody who's come up with pioneering practices, and it's absolutely a great company, so I'm like really proud. Go to office day one, and I start getting my computer and everything set up. I remember first week in the job, one of the first assignments I got was actually sitting down with my manager, and he said, see, these are all performance appraisal forms. These are very critical. We got to protect them. You got to file them. And I said, really? I have to file them? And he said, yes, because these are confidential documents, so I can't give it to anyone else. I can't have an office boy or anybody else file them. You got to do it. So I remember sitting and filing it and making sure I had copies for each one of them. One file was for all the performance appraisal forms, and one copy each goes to the personal file of the individual. Very exciting experience. Then I remember a few years down the road, as Srikanth talked about digitization, which was a big initiative in GE. That came about, and Jack said everything has to be digitized. So we had a performance appraisal tool, which was put in place. There was another tool which had leave management and all that. We have our intranet and all that. So we had 8, 10 different tools. All those tools had different user IDs and passwords. And if you would lose your user ID and password, the employee has to follow up through multiple channels, because these are confidential tools, right, to get their user IDs and passwords enabled. And, we had to remember all the links or store all the links in favorites to kind of navigate in the system. Again, so digitization helped us significantly because the process for each of the elements was different. But what were we missing? Question for you guys. I'm sorry? Straight through process. What else? Human touch. What else? Integrated, somebody said. I think the basic piece we missed as we started down that path, and I don't think so it was wrong because we started somewhere and one has to, was when you are creating technology solutions to kind of create platforms for employees or customers or any other platform, they have to be integrated in nature. One of the most important questions we need to ask is what is the intent, what is the purpose, what are we trying to solve? And when we look at that and really start building solutions, we have to look at an integrated approach. So it took us many years. 5, 6 years back, if I look at where we were in G, all our tools and systems are integrated. We have one user and ID and password, which happens to be our Oracle HR ID. The databases are integrated, and an employee and manager can get whatever information they need using one click and then going through and navigating in the tool. So I think the entire integrated approach, the approach that one needs to look at system as a whole and not one element, is absolutely critical. Because you will see as we get into building a lot of solutions, workflows, sometimes it becomes a madness for us to implement one after the other and really not looking at, do we really need a tool in this case? If we need a tool, how should we integrate it as a whole and not do it in isolation? So that was one learning, and I think for us at GE, the learning was that we went through one step at a time, iterative process. It took us many, many years, but at least now we are proud that we have a platform which works for all. I'll share another story with you guys. So it's almost a year back. So I was on LinkedIn, I was using Facebook and all of that, but I was very uncomfortable blogging, because when you blog, when you write stuff, it's out there, anybody can comment, and you will have tons of feedback and all of that stuff coming in. But I remember one day in the morning of, I think a few months back, we were looking at sharing some thoughts around careers, and we were starting a new newsletter. And my communication leader came and walked into my office and said, you got to write on careers. We have mid-year careers discussion, which gonna start in August or so. You got to write something. I resisted, but finally gave in. And I ended up writing something on careers, a few thoughts around what I have seen, what I have learned. And the 6, 7 points, probably just a page worth of a document, I just blogged and put it on our intranet. It resulted in a discussion which followed, so people started commenting, people started sharing their experiences, building on that entire theme. I still remember that discussion went on for good 1 month, where almost 25% of our employees, which is 1,000 employees in the technology center here, contributed in one way or the other, build up on the theme, and taking it from one level to the other. And it became a platform where a lot of people shared their stories, shared their comments and thoughts. And it was an eye-opening experience for me, because I always used to think that I'm a great trainer. So I'll go into a classroom, take a session on career management, talk about career planning, and it will be damn effective. But what I didn't realize, yes, it's a great forum. It's something which one should use. It's something where you connect. But what you do is you end up connecting with a set of people which is limited in the classroom, 25, 30. One needs to get comfortable with technology to really create social platforms for continuous dialogues. It's no more a world where we have all the best experiences and we will share with the larger audience. It's a world where we learn from each other, get our experiences and learnings on a platform where everybody can build on it. Because at the end of it, when you do that, the overall result is much more impactful. We could cover 1,000 employees in a discussion board, which probably would have been 25 or 30 people in a classroom settings. So I think another eye-opening experience for me, and something which made us feel that technology can be easily used for our advantage. It's something which we can use easily to connect with employees. But what is important is for us to get comfortable with it. Unless we get comfortable, it's not going to move.